Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. I came home, set my keys in the bowl, and said, "Hey, Jen." She didn't answer. She was at the kitchen island, scrolling on her phone with a glass of tap water, shoulders squared like the screen owed her money. I stepped behind her and wrapped my arms around her waist. She lifted my hands off her like I'd set hot pans on her ribs. "Don't distract me," she said. "I'm reading." "Reading what?" "Just don't. Please." I stood there for a second, caught between laughing and asking what game we were playing. "All right," I said, backing off. "Dinner later?" "I already ate." "When?" "Earlier." "With who?" She shrugged. "I grabbed something." "Right. Good chat." If I'd known where it was headed, I would have kept my work boots on and turned right back around. The next evening, she slid past me in the hall like we were strangers on a bus. I leaned on the doorframe. "Jenna, you good?" "I'm fine." "You've said 12 words in 2 days. 7 were don't distract me." "Mark, you don't have to babysit me." "I'm not. I'm talking to my wife." "You're hovering." "Hovering would mean you're a helicopter. You're more like a radio on mute." She lifted an eyebrow, impressed with herself for not reacting. Then she went to the bedroom and shut the door softly, the kind of soft that says, "This is deliberate." I gave it a night. I cooked, left a plate on the stove. She didn't touch it. She took the couch, screened off under a blanket, earbuds in, face blank. On the 3rd day, I tried again. I poured coffee for 2, set one in front of her. "You're out a lot lately. Did I miss a memo?" She took the mug, blew across it, didn't drink. "I have friends, Mark." I knew that already. Maybe we need space. From each other or from basic courtesy? Her mouth flattened. "I don't want to fight." "Neither do I. But if the plan is war by silence, I'm not enlisting." She held the mug like a prop. "You're being intense." "I'm being clear. I'm your husband. If something's off, we fix it. But I'm not going to pretend I live alone when I pay for a family." "You always make it about money." "Because the electric bill doesn't run on vibes." She rolled her eyes. "Can we drop it?" "For now," I said. "Friday's Nate's barbecue. We're going together. We're not going to act like strangers. You want space? We take it after we show up as a team." She stared over my shoulder like there was a camera behind me, and she wanted the better angle. "Fine," she said. "Whatever." "Good. And Jenna, if we go respectful. We don't treat each other like props at a show." She let a small smile spill, the kind that means nothing. "You're being dramatic." "We'll see." I didn't slam anything. I washed my cup, put it on the rack, set my alarm for 5, and slept like a man who'd already picked his line. Friday came. Nate's place always smells like charcoal and lawn clippings. He's a good guy, works with me at the shop, loud laugh, bigger heart. His wife, Carla, runs the neighborhood like a traffic cop with a smile. When we walked in, Nate slapped my shoulder and handed me a plate. "Mark, finally, you bring your appetite." "Always," I said. "You know me." Jenna drifted off toward the patio, that quick, bright grin she saves for strangers switching on like a porch light. She was in a sundress I hadn't seen before, hair done up, earrings flashing. I caught up to her. "Hey," I said under my breath. "Stay with me." "Relax," she replied without looking, already stepping toward a circle of guys by the cooler. One of them I knew from softball, the others, faces from around. I stayed close, said hello, kept it easy. 10 minutes in, she was halfway into one guy's shoulder, laughing at nothing, hand on his forearm, the whole angle of her body pointed away from me. She wasn't hiding it. If the move was to see if I'd bark, it was obvious. I set my plate down and broke the circle. "Jenna," I said, "walk with me." She flushed like she'd been caught doing something naughty in high school. "What?" 2 minutes. She followed me to the side gate, just out of earshot. Carla glanced over, then pretended not to. I faced Jenna. "This isn't the plan," I told her. "You want to be here with me, be here with me. You want to play games, we leave." "I'm talking," she said. "That's allowed." "Talking, yes. Headlining, no." "You're policing me at a barbecue?" "I'm stating a boundary. I'm not going to stand there like security at your show." She folded her arms. "You're insecure." "I'm uninterested. Those are different things." She smirked. "Then go talk to someone." "I will. Right after you decide if you're with me or auditioning." Her mouth pulled sideways. "I'm staying." "Then I'm not." I took out my phone, fired off a text to Nate. "Heading out early." Appreciate you. Then I looked at her. I'm not dragging you. You're an adult. But I'm not standing in the crowd while my wife does a stage act. You can't just leave. Watch me. I told Nate thanks on my way across the lawn. He caught my arm. You all right, man? I'll live, I said. Save me a burger. Carla drifted up, too. Everything okay? Just calling it early, I said. Jenna's got energy. I'm not the right audience. Carla's eyes flashed something. Sympathy or judgment, I couldn't tell. Drive safe, she said. I did. And I didn't wait for Jenna. That was the first change. No theater, no ultimatum. I removed myself from the stage. She Ubered home at midnight, clomped in, and saw me reading at the table. Really, she said. Really, I answered. You embarrassed me. No, you did that. I left. She flopped onto the couch with a show of exhaustion. You're impossible. I'm consistent. That's new for the room. She didn't respond. She doesn't like it when her props talk. Saturday morning, I made a second change. I pulled our joint card out of my wallet, logged into the account, and split our finances. No rage. Just math. I moved my direct deposit to my own account, set up auto pay for the house, and created a new household ledger. Rent, utilities, groceries, split. Extras, no longer my problem. I wrote it down simple, printed a one-page sheet, and put it on the fridge. Jenna woke up around 11. Hair perfect, eyes hard. What's this? Budget. From now on, we split neutral expenses. You want extras, you handle extras. I'm not subsidizing an attitude. You're punishing me. I'm clarifying roles. You want independence? Own it. She tossed the paper on the counter. You're controlling. I pointed at the numbers. Numbers don't control. They report. Stop arguing with arithmetic. She opened her mouth, shut it, grabbed her phone, and walked to the bedroom. 10 minutes later, she came back, softer. Do we have to be like this? She was holding a plate. Eggs, toast, a couple slices of tomato. I made you breakfast. That's new. I'm trying. You left me last night. It stung. I left a situation. Not you. I hear you, she said, placing the plate down. Let's reset. It was the first soft turn. Small apology, light breakfast, cloudy eyes. It was practiced, but I decided to accept the gesture and not the amnesia. Reset's fine, I replied. With rules. We don't run each other down in public. We don't play the mute game at home. And if you're out, you're reachable. No disappearing until morning with don't distract me. If those are hard, we go our own ways like civilized people. She nodded quickly, too quickly. Agreed. And the budget stands. It feels cold. It's honest. She bit her lip like she'd consider it. Okay, she said. Fine. For 2 weeks, she pretended we'd found a groove. She smiled in the mornings. She placed a hand on my arm in the kitchen like she'd seen it in a magazine. She texted me once from the salon, a selfie with a caption, "What do you think?" It looked like a test. I wrote back, "Looks good." She sent a heart. We even sat on the porch one evening and watched the streetlights blink on while the neighbor's dog made rounds like he owned the block. Then the night started. I'm with the girls, she'd text at 9:10. At 12:40, she'd reply to nothing with, "We're still out." At 2:15, I'd get, "Don't wait up." The first time, I stayed awake. The second time, I set my phone face down and slept fine. The third time, I went to the guest room with a pillow and closed the door. When she came in at 3:30 and saw my side of the bed empty, she walked the hall and found me. "What is this?" she whispered like the house could hear. "It's called boundaries," I answered from the dark. "I'm not going to pretend we share a bed while we live like roommates. You're punishing me for having friends. I'm declining to star in your show. The budget stands. So does this. You're unbelievable. I'm practical." She let the silence sit. "I'll be quieter coming in," she said. "I won't be here to hear it. You're acting like I'm doing something wrong." I propped myself up on an elbow in the lamplight. "Jenna, I don't care whether you break bad or bake cookies. I care whether you respect me. This is the last call. Respect is the cover charge in this house." She glared. "You're making me the villain." "No. I'm casting myself as the man who won't be mocked at his own table." "Fine," she said. "Sleep here then." She turned and left it hanging. Next morning, I made coffee, put a mug in front of her, and laid out another change. From today, there's a simple contact rule. If you're out past midnight and you don't answer, the deadbolt stays thrown. Not out of spite. Out of policy. You can sleep at a friend's or knock loud enough to wake the neighbor and borrow their couch. I'm not playing doorman at 3 a.m. She blinked. You're locking me out. I'm refusing to be your concierge. This is abusive. It's a schedule. Follow it or don't. I'm done operating my life around people who treat me like furniture. She pushed her chair back. It creaked. She left. 2 nights later, she was home at 11:50 with a smiling bag of takeout like timing erased content. I brought you something, she said, voice bright. Your favorite. You don't know my favorite anymore, I replied, but I took the bag. That was the second soft turn. Too sweet, too timed. On Wednesday, she appeared at my shop around noon with a plastic container and a grin. I made pasta. Thought I'd surprise you. My coworker Denise looked up from the counter. Denise is dry humor in a ponytail. Somebody's trying to make amends, she murmured. I stepped outside with Jenna. Sun high, smell of cut wood and motor oil. What's up? I wanted to see you, she said, eyes a bit watery, maybe from the wind. We've been tense. I don't like it. I don't either. I like respect. That's free. She untied the lid and offered me a fork. Can we just not keep score? We can keep time. I checked my watch. I have a client in 5. Thank you for the food. You're stiff today, she said, half laughing. You used to be fun. I used to be blind. She flinched. Am I that bad? You're not anything. That's the problem. You turn off when it's me. You're reading into it. I read out of it. That's how reading works. She closed the container. I'll see you tonight. Before midnight, I said. The rule stands. She gave a mock salute. Yes, sir. Then she smiled like she thought the charm would cover the sneer in the line. That weekend, her patience ran out. She came home Saturday at 1:30 a.m. and hit the deadbolt. She knocked. I looked at the door, then at the clock, and didn't move. She knocked harder. I let another minute pass and opened it. Her face could have cut glass. What if something happened? Then you'd call earlier. You're a monster. I'm a scheduler. She walked past me, threw her clutch on the chair, and spun. You're suffocating me. I'm not your property. I never said you were, I answered. That line is a script, not a truth. You think you're so calm, so rational. You're not. You're petty. I'm done funding disrespect. That's not petty. That's policy. She was breathing hard, not because she'd run. This was a different kind of cardio. I'm not going to live like this, she said. You don't get to decide how I spend my time. I decide how I spend mine. We're not the same person. You'll regret this, she said. You will. That may be, I replied. But not tonight. From then on, we lived like neighbors. Dishes clinked in different sinks. The laundry basket started telling secrets. Her side full of outfits for nights out, mine full of work shirts and gym shorts. The bed was a schedule with a timeshare. I stopped offering rides. I stopped asking where she was going. You don't interrogate a stranger about their itinerary. Meanwhile, her birthday crept up. She planned a party at our place like it was a fundraiser for her popularity. Group chat blew up with can't wait, and dress code, and wine theme. I watched from a distance. She hung lights on the patio with Carla's help, set out platters, ordered a cake with her name written like a logo. Nate came by to ask if I needed a hand. You good, man? He asked, careful. I'm excellent, I said. I planned to be polite, then strategic. He laughed. That's new. Not really. I just stopped apologizing for how I operate. Carla popped in. She's hyped, Carla said quietly, looking past me into the house. Just heads up. Thanks, I said. I'll keep my feet under me. The night arrived. Music, a thrum low enough not to invite the cops. People drifted in with bottles and opinions. I shook hands, hugged where appropriate, kept my tone even. Jenna made rounds like a candidate. Hug, laugh, whisper, flit. Every time she got to me, she veered away, like I was a column holding up the roof, and you don't hug architecture. 10 o'clock, the cake came out. People sang. She closed her eyes like a wish mattered. When it was done, she climbed onto the first stair of the back deck and lifted her glass. Everyone, she said, loud enough for the neighbors, thank you for coming. Tonight, I'm free. It landed heavy. She looked at me when she said it, smile sharp, daring me to make a scene. She wanted theater. She wanted me to lose my cool and hand her the righteous victim card. She wanted noise. I gave her silence. I lifted my glass in the same way you nod to a stranger and turned to the nearest group of women. Carla, a couple of Jenna's friends from yoga, a new neighbor with a fresh move-in glow. So, I said, grinning, tell me the best travel horror story you've got. I need a laugh. They did. Stories tumble out if you hold the basket. One about a lost suitcase, one about a cabin with no heat, one about a rental that was actually a shed. I listened, asked questions, laughed appropriately, and didn't look toward the deck. Within minutes, I wasn't alone. More of her friends slid into the circle because conversation that respects them is rare. I kept it clean, playful, just enough warmth to be interesting, nothing to cross a line I wouldn't cross myself. If any line existed, it was the one she cut with her own toast. Carla leaned in and whispered, amused, I see what you're doing. I'm just being social, I replied, eyes still on the story. Apparently, I'm allowed. Tonight, she said, you're better at it. Across the yard, Jenna worked the men like she always does. Hand on an elbow, head back for laughs, leaning in with questions whose answers didn't matter. Except the magic had worn off. The guys nodded and moved. One went to check the grill. One pointed to his wife and excused himself. One smiled politely and stepped away to dump a plate. She turned left, then right, each time hitting a soft wall of not tonight. She clocked me eventually. I was in a circle laughing at something painfully ordinary. Her eyes narrowed like she'd found the manufacturer of her disappointment. She tried to draw another group, cranked up the volume, dropped the kind of line that usually wins attention. Nothing. Within an hour of her big declaration, her energy had nowhere to land. She ended up on a patio chair alone, phone in her hand, not scrolling, just holding it like it should vibrate and save her. I didn't gloat. I handed a glass of water to Nate, carried plates inside, and thanked people for coming. Close to midnight, the crowd thinned out, then went. The house got quiet the way a theater does after the curtain falls, and everyone realizes the show wasn't that good. Jenna waited until the last bag of trash hit the bin. She stood in the doorway to the kitchen, arms folded like a substitute teacher who'd run out of worksheets. You're unbelievable, she said. You flirted with everyone. I rinsed a platter. I had conversations. You were putting on a display. You made an announcement. I responded by acting accordingly. I said I was free. It was a joke. You don't deliver jokes like vows. You ruined my birthday. No. I enjoyed my evening. She slapped her palm on the counter, not hard, just enough to mark the space. You made me look foolish. You did that when you tried to bait your own husband at your own party. You're unfaithful. I set the platter down and wiped my hands. No, Jenna. I'm disciplined. There's a difference. And you know it. She laughed with no humor. You're impossible. Or just tired of disrespect. Whatever, she said, waving a hand. I'm going to bed. We'll talk tomorrow. Bed. I said. No. You didn't hear me. She turned. What? You told a room full of people you were free. You made it public. I'm simply honoring your wish. Pack your things. You're leaving tonight. In the morning, I file. Her jaw went loose, then she caught it. Don't be ridiculous. I'm not. You burned the last bridge. I won't stand in your way. It was a line, she said, voice softening instantly, like turning a dial. It was for fun. We don't run fun like that in my house. This is our house. It was. You turned it into a stage. She stepped forward, put a hand on my forearm, squeezing rhythmically like she could pump compassion into me. Mark, look at me. You're overreacting. You're tired. It's late. I'm awake, I answered. 2 hours. That's generous. You wouldn't. Her voice cracked on purpose. I would. I am. Where am I supposed to go? You have friends. I nodded toward the door. They're great at late nights. You're cruel. I'm consistent. She tried a different key. Please, don't do this on a night like this. Let's talk tomorrow. I'll apologize. I'll fix it. You'll pretend, then go right back to your program, I said. We've run that loop twice. I'm not renewing the season. She stood still for a count of 3. Then she turned to dramatics, but the audience had left. I grabbed a suitcase from the closet, set it on the bed in the guest room, and started folding. Shirts first, then jeans, then the top drawer. Stop it, she said, grabbing the suitcase. Stop. I didn't pull back. I didn't raise my voice. 2 hours, I repeated. Don't spend them performing. She cried. Real or not, I've seen better. She cycled through the catalog. Anger, pleading, jokes, guilt, symmetry. You go too. then back to inching close with soft apologies. None of it moved the needle. I packed what I could, zipped the bag, rolled it to the door, came back for the rest. At the threshold, I set the suitcases side by side like two quiet dogs. "I can't believe you," she said. "I can," I replied. "That's the saddest part. You're going to regret this forever." "I'll sleep fine." She stared at me hard, like she wanted a last, big hit. The line she picked was small. "You're not who I married." "Thank you," I said. "That means it's working." She left. The latch clicked. I stood in the quiet kitchen where the party had tested its volume and failed. I poured water, drank, stood again. Then I went to bed. At dawn, I filed the paperwork I'd already pulled together the week before, the practical man's version of seeing the storm on radar and putting the patio furniture away. I texted Nate, "Going to be laying low a while." He replied, "You did what you had to." Carla sent a single line, "Proud of you for keeping it clean." That week, Jenna tried to call. I let her hit voicemail, then texted the only message I was going to send. "We're done. Handle your things. I'll send whatever's left." She sent 5 paragraphs. I didn't read them. Then she sent one line, "You broke my heart." I set the phone down and went back to work. A few weeks later, I moved into a small place closer to the shop. Single story, quiet street, a big oak out front that drops acorns like they mean it. I bought a used pickup that didn't mind getting dirty. I replaced my couch with one that fit me. I went to the gym in the morning because the sound of weights is honest. After hours, I hit the lake with Nate and a couple guys from the crew. On Sundays, we grilled and didn't invite chaos. I slept. You would be amazed what silence does for a man's spine. I met Lauren at a hardware store of all places. She needed help with a measurement she didn't pretend to know. She's a paramedic. No nonsense. Eyes that tell you when you're lying to yourself. We got coffee. She asked straight questions. "Been married?" "Yes." "Why not now?" "Because I like peace more than performance." She nodded. "Good answer." We took it slow. Our conversations had a way of staying where they were supposed to. In reality, I told her I wasn't going to chase approval like a dog. She said she didn't need a dog. Full points for humor. We cleaned up the yard together one Saturday, and she brought a cooler with sandwiches like a pro. Carla stopped by with her kid, took one look at us covered in dirt, and said, "This is the most adult thing I've seen all month. I'll take that trophy." Work went well. Without a nightly circus, I had energy. I picked up more clients. I upgraded the tools I'd been meaning to. Denise got a promotion, and I took over some of the accounts she couldn't keep. We ran like a machine. My boss called me into the office and said, "You've been steady." I like steady. In my world, that's a medal. As for Jenna, I heard things. Neighborhoods talk. She bounced between couches for a while. A couple of the guys who used to find her funny stopped coming to her events. The yoga crew still posts photos, but she's always on the edge now, chin high, smile tight. She sent me one message a month later. "Can we talk?" I replied with the last sentence I ever needed to send her. "We did," I wrote. "You made a speech. I believed you." And that was that. When I tell the story to a friend over a beer, I leave out the pity and the poetry. There's none of that here. I had a wife who turned our place into a stage. I refused to be a prop. When she called herself free, I let her be exactly that. I didn't slam doors. I didn't beg. I moved. I changed what I control, my budget, my time, my access. When she pushed for a show at her birthday, I gave her quiet and a mirror. The audience chose. The ending isn't dramatic. It's clean. I have a house that sounds like a home. I have a woman who talks to me in full sentences. I have friends who come for burgers and stay to help wash the dishes. I have mornings where the first words I hear are the coffee maker's little hiss and not, "Don't distract me." That, to me, is victory. Not revenge, results. If you ever stand where I stood, by a sink, holding a plate, listening to someone who swore they loved you try to bait you into tearing it all down, remember this. Silence is a choice. So is action. I chose action. I chose my dignity. When she announced, "Tonight I'm free," she thought she was threatening me. She didn't know I was a man who honors requests. I let her have exactly what she asked for, and I kept the rest for myself.